Welcome back, everybody. Today, we're going to be taking a deep dive into something that I think we all can relate to, inspirational quotes.
Hmm.
We've got a whole bunch of sources.
Yeah.
We've got some classic collections. We've got some modern stuff.
Right.
So get ready to hear about some unexpected connections
Huh.
and maybe even take away a quote or two for yourself.
I love it. I love it.
So these quotes are interesting, right? Because they're
Mhm.
short.
Yeah.
They're usually just a sentence or two.
They can be really powerful.
They're so powerful and punchy. Like
Yeah.
this one that I found on Brainy Quote,
Okay.
which is a huge website just packed with all different kinds of quotes.
I know it.
This one is by H. Jackson Brown Jr., and he says, "The best preparation for tomorrow is doing your best today."
Hmm.
Kind of simple, right, when you first hear it, but when you
Yeah.
think about it, it's
Well,
like, wow, there's some real depth to that.
I think you're right. I think maybe the fact that they are so short is part of what makes them so powerful.
Interesting.
Because it forces you to just get to the essence of the idea.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, like no rambling, just straight to the point.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think that's something that all of us listening are probably looking for. We
Right.
want that aha moment, that
Yes.
little spark of insight.
The light bulb.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Little light bulb.
But it's not just about, being quick and efficient.
Right.
I've also noticed that there are a lot of these really universal themes
Mm-hmm.
that come up over and over again in all these different sources, like
Yeah.
perseverance.
Yeah.
Um, we've got the classic Thomas Edison quote on Brainy Quote.
Yeah. Our greatest weakness lies in giving up. The most certain way to succeed is always to try. Just one more time.
I love that one.
Mm-hmm.
And then the School of Life,
Okay.
which is an organization that's all about like well-being and emotional intelligence.
Gotcha.
They have this whole article called Keep Going that talks all about, finding that strength to keep going when things are tough.
Yeah, it's interesting, though, to see, like, the different, angles on it.
Yeah.
Like, the Edison quote is very, like, get up and go,
Yeah.
charge.
Right.
Whereas the School of Life is like, maybe sometimes it's about the strength to endure.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So maybe it depends on the situation.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like what kind of perseverance
Right.
you need.
I think you hit the nail on the head there.
But, it's not always about, sunshine and rainbows with these inspirational quotes.
Oh, for sure.
Sometimes the real inspiration
Yeah.
comes from acknowledging that life is hard.
Absolutely.
And I think that's where Mark Manson comes in.
Okay. I like him.
Yeah, his whole website is life advice that doesn't suck.
I mean, that's refreshing.
Right. Like he's all about being honest
Yes.
about the struggles and,
Yeah.
how to work through them
Right.
rather than pretending they don't exist.
Yeah. I think that probably resonates with a lot of our listeners, too.
Yeah,
Because it's real.
it's real.
It's like, okay, life can be tough,
Yeah,
but here's how we deal with it.
totally. And, sometimes we need a little humor
Oh, yeah.
to get us through those tough times.
Absolutely.
And I found this Jim Carrey quote
Okay.
that I thought was just brilliant.
Lay it on me.
From Brainy Quote again.
Okay.
He says, "Behind every great man is a woman rolling her eyes."
Oh, that's good.
So funny, right?
It is funny, but it's also kind of true.
Oh, it's so...
I think what he's doing there is highlighting, like,
Yeah.
the contributions of women,
Yes.
especially, like, in supporting men.
Right, like behind the scenes.
Oh, exactly.
The unsung heroes.
Totally.
And, I bet our listeners really appreciate that kind of humor
Oh, yeah.
that has like
Some depth to it.
a little deeper meaning.
Yeah, for sure.
So speaking of different perspectives,
Mhm.
something that's really stood out to me as we've been going through these different sources
Yeah.
is like, who gets to be considered wise or inspirational?
Oh, that's interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
Like Brainy Quote, they've got this huge range of people.
All right.
From like historical figures to modern celebrities.
Right.
Abraham Lincoln, Taylor Swift. It's like everybody's got something to say.
I mean, does that make wisdom more accessible,
Right.
or does it kind of cheapen it a little bit?
It's a good question.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's interesting.
And then you've got a site like wisdomquotes.com,
Okay.
which is much more traditional.
Gotcha.
It's mostly like philosophers and writers, from history.
Makes you wonder, if there's this tension there
Yeah.
between, like, the old and the new.
Yeah, the classic wisdom versus the modern wisdom.
Exactly.
So it's like these two sides of the same coin, right?
Yeah.
You've got the established voices,
Mm-hmm.
and then you've got the newer voices that are kind of challenging things.
I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, it's good to have that variety.
It is.
So with all these different voices and everything,
Yeah.
what's really resonating with you?
That's a good question.
Like, what are some of the quotes or ideas that you're finding really interesting?
I mean, I think it's so interesting why we even look at these quotes in the first place.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's not just about reading them, it's about
Yeah.
thinking about them.
Yeah. Taking action.
Exactly.
And I think one of the most surprising sources has been the School of Life,
Oh, yeah?
because they have this article called This Season Be Selfish,
Interesting.
which sounds kind of counterintuitive,
It does, yeah.
right, when we're talking about inspiration.
Yeah.
But it's actually all about like understanding your own needs and,
Right.
making sure that you're taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
So that you can actually, connect with the world around you.
Right, because if you're not taking care of yourself, you can't really help anyone else.
Exactly. And that's where I think the true power of inspiration comes in.
Yes.
It's not just about feeling good. It's
Nah.
about like being motivated to actually do something.
Take action.
Yeah.
Yes, I love that.
So as you keep listening to this deep dive,
Mm-hmm.
just pay attention to what really grabs you.
Yeah.
What makes you think
Yeah,
differently.
what inspires you.
Yeah, because the most valuable insights are the ones that you can actually use in your own life
Absolutely.
and that help you figure out, how to live a good life.
A life that feels authentic and meaningful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
So keep listening.
Mm-hmm. It's amazing. When you really think about these quotes, it's like they're not just words on a page.
Yeah,
They really can shape like how we think and how we act.
totally. It's like they're these little reminders, to
Mhm.
keep us on track with
Yeah.
our values and our goals.
Like little signposts
Yeah.
along the way.
Exactly. So, imagine you're having like a really tough day and you're feeling discouraged, and then you see that Edison quote
Oh, yeah.
about trying one more time.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's on a sticky note or something.
Right.
And suddenly you're like, okay, I can do this.
It's so interesting how they can be so personal, even though
Yeah.
someone else wrote them.
Right.
It's about finding the ones that speak to you.
Yeah, like each quote is almost like a little seed.
Ooh, I like that.
And it's up to us to kind of plant it and nurture it.
Yeah.
And, maybe that means finding creative ways to use them in our lives, like putting them on sticky notes or, writing them in a journal.
That's a great idea.
But we were talking earlier about how inspiration doesn't always have to be serious.
Oh, yeah.
And I think humor can be just as inspiring sometimes.
Oh, absolutely. Sometimes even more so.
Yeah, because it kind of disarms you.
Yes. It
Yeah.
catches you off guard.
Yeah, and then the message can really sink in.
It's like hiding the spinach in the mac and cheese.
Ooh, I love that analogy.
You get the good stuff, but you're also getting something healthy
Exactly.
without even realizing it.
So, like that Jim Carrey quote.
Oh, yeah, the one about the woman rolling her eyes.
Yes. It's funny, but it also makes you think about,
Yeah.
the people who are supporting us
Mm-hmm.
and how important they are.
The unsung heroes.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's not just about women supporting men either.
right.
It's about recognizing that, like, nobody achieves anything alone.
Yeah, we all need those people in our corner.
Absolutely.
Makes you think, how often do we take those people for granted?
That is a good question.
And how can we, show them that we appreciate them? It's all about gratitude
It is.
and realizing that we're all connected,
Mhm.
as we've been going through these different sources.
Yeah.
It's interesting to see how they have different perspectives
Oh.
on what inspiration even is.
Right.
Like Brainy Quote is very inclusive.
Yeah.
They've got everybody in there. And then wisdomquotes.com is much more traditional.
Right.
It's like they're having a conversation with each other.
Yeah, like a dialogue between the past and the present.
I love that. And it's like we're trying to figure out,
Yeah.
what's still relevant today.
Mhm.
It's almost like a puzzle.
I like that analogy.
And the cool thing is there's no one right answer.
Exactly.
It's up to each of us to decide,
Yeah.
what speaks to us.
What resonates with you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so important to, be open to different sources,
Absolutely. Okay.
explore different perspectives, and
Mm.
see what you find.
It's like a treasure hunt
Yes.
for wisdom.
And the best part is
Yeah.
the treasure is everywhere.
It is.
It's in the words of people from history, in the experiences of people around us,
Mhm.
and even in our own hearts.
I love that.
So as we continue this deep dive,
Yeah.
keep an open mind.
Yes.
Be curious,
Be open to new ideas.
because you never know what you might discover.
That's right. It's funny because we've been talking about these quotes.
Yeah.
Like they just exist, on their own,
Right.
but they don't.
I don't.
They come from somewhere,
Well,
right?
Mm-hmm. They're all like products of their time.
Exactly.
Like that Edison quote about perseverance.
Yeah.
On the surface, it seems pretty straightforward,
Mm-hmm.
But when you think about, what was going on
Right.
during his life.
All the inventions.
Yeah, the Industrial Revolution.
The setbacks he must have faced.
It's like it takes on a whole new meaning.
It really does.
Yeah.
It becomes less about just like, never giving up and more about understanding that failure is part of the process.
Yeah. And I think that's something that our listeners can relate to.
Oh, for sure.
Because, we all face challenges.
Absolutely.
And setbacks.
Right. It's part of life.
And it's nice to know that even someone like Edison,
Mm-hmm.
had to deal with that.
It makes you think, though, right?
Yeah.
Like, would that quote have been as powerful
Ooh, good question.
if it had come from someone who hadn't, actually lived through it?
Yeah. Does wisdom require experience?
It's interesting.
Makes me think about those quotes from, Abraham Lincoln
Oh, yeah.
and Martin Luther King Jr.
Mm-hmm.
Their words are so connected to,
Yeah.
the movements of their
But
time.
national and political context.
Yeah, exactly. And their messages about, equality and justice,
Right.
they have this weight to them that goes beyond just personal experience.
It's like they become part of something bigger.
Yeah, like rallying cries.
Exactly.
And they still inspire people today because
yeah.
they tap into that,
Mhm.
human desire for a better world.
I think our listeners feel that way, too.
Yeah.
Wanting to make a difference.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Yeah.
I want to leave you with this thought.
Okay.
Don't just read these quotes.
Mm-hmm.
Really experience them.
Yeah. Let them sink in.
Let them challenge you.
Let them spark something in you.
Because the most inspiring quote might be the one you haven't heard yet.
Oh, like that.
The one that really speaks to you.
The one that changes everything.
Yeah. So keep exploring, keep listening, and keep looking for those words that have the power to, change your life.
Change the world.
Exactly. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Until next time.